Welcome to another Bob Folkride's hunting adventure. I'm down here at Wonders of Wildlife in Springfield, Missouri, looking at this jaguar. And I look at him with sadness in my eyes because Rocky McBride did a 5-year study to actually try to open these up for sport hunting. And at the end of the show, I held up a little rabbit in my hand and said, what's sad is that rabbit had more economic value than a jaguar. If we were successful in opening up a hunting season, not only would I be able to hunt him, but my kids and grandkids will hunt him. The only place you'll see a jaguar now is in a zoo or someplace like the Wonders of Wildlife. That's a sad deal when people can stop something such as being able to hunt the jaguars. Through conservation, if we was successful on that, not only when the jaguar came in and and kill a guy's cattle, he would have been paid for it. But as I sat there on the show, I seen them nailed to the barn wall, poisoned to get rid of them so they didn't come in and kill the livestock, and they have absolutely no economic value. And that's a sad thing when you look at all the animals that we've brought back through conservation efforts, and the jaguar should have been one more of them.
Exotic and remote doesn't begin to describe the South American nation of Paraguay. Far off the beaten path, its wild nature and many sporting opportunities are known to only a few. But it's no secret to Bob Folkride. This is one of his favorite places in the world.
Wait till he comes out. I don't see him yet. Oh, I see him.
Victor Chevrolet, Bass Pro Shops, and Alamocitos Ranch present Bob Folkride's Hunting Adventures. 7 continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making, high adventure, dangerous game, real-world training tips. This is Bob Folkride's Hunting Adventures.
This week, my friends, we're headed back down with Rocky McBride in Paraguay, South America for a brocket deer. You talk about something exclusive. And if we have some time, we're going to go for doves.
If you like the Wild West, then you'll love Paraguay. The small nation nestled in the center of South America still retains a frontier quality, especially the Gran Chaco region. This large, sparsely populated plateau is filled with hunting opportunities, as Bob discovered when he took this large water buffalo here recently with his old friend Rocky McBride. He has also enjoyed helping Rocky with his groundbreaking research into South America's magnificent predator, the jaguar. These jungle carnivores face many conservation challenges in their native home, mostly born from a lack of knowledge.
You know, I've been very fortunate as a biologist and a hunting guide to have studied cats, and it gives you a deeper understanding. Of course, jaguar hunting now is illegal. The jaguar's listed as a CITES 1 animal, but I came up with a concept, or not the concept, but just to show that the jaguars need, a place to. And so we started with a 5-year study on jaguars, working with the government here to show people in Paraguay. I mean, most of the people in Asuncion, the capital of Paraguay, have no idea whether there's a lot of jaguars, what's happening to their jaguars, and so just to bring it to people's attention. And it all boils down to the, cats are cats, and they have some kind of specific prey that they prey on, and from tigers to Joffrey's cats, there's an equilibrium there that habitat, food source that goes into hunting and biology.
This week's conservation angle has been brought to you by Wild Sheep Foundation.
Part of my 5-year program. My obsession quest was to do the Safari Club list, and there's, I don't know, it keeps changing because they keep adding more animals to the list. You know, the big six in Africa and the World Slam on turkeys, and then I got to traveling around the world, like, you know, for Marco Polo and Ibex. The Brocket deer wasn't required. You know, you could use it or substitute it for another animal that you didn't have a chance to do. I didn't even know what a Brocket deer was.
Boy, how neat is that? Mother and her fawn walking right down the road like that. There goes the buck chasing the doe running up the road. Oh, he just cut in.
I guess they have a red Brocket deer and a gray Brocket deer. This is the gray Brocket deer down here.
Oh, she just spotted us. She's going in the bush there. The Brocket deer, it's a native animal, native throughout all of South America, through Central America, and the southern part of Mexico. It's the smallest of the Brocket deer, or smallest of the deer species in the Americas. You know, your males weigh from 35 to 65 pounds. Females about the same size.
How neat is that? That's pretty neat, wasn't it? And I think at the time of my book, it was 4 and change, 4.5 was a world record. So I mean, they're simply not a real wide. You know, it's the species that I'm going after. It's the adventure that I'm going after. Coming down here to hunt the Brocket deer in Paraguay. Not very many people have ever seen a Brocket deer, let alone have the opportunity to hunt one.
Paraguay's Gran Chaco is dry country. Creating water holes has increased the carrying capacity for all the species that live here, and many who don't.
There's not many natural water holes, so you know, we go into these low areas where some clay type soils, and you know, dig a tank, and if you dig a tank over 2 meters deep, it'll hold water pretty much all year long. So you know, I do this for the cattle and also for the wildlife, and it's amazing the effect that, you know, by digging water holes all throughout the property here, you know, the amount of wildlife that's, you know, responded to it, and types of wildlife that doesn't normally exist here. But it's kind of like, you know, if you create it, they'll come.
Any fish in here?
Yeah, there's native fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Bob looks to the sky as his Paraguay hunting adventure takes off when we return.
Bob Folkrot's Hunting Adventures is brought to you by these fine sponsors: Vortex, Kinatrek, Kufaru.
As people who love the outdoors, we know what we stand for. We stand for fish, wildlife, and conserving the places they call home. We stand for the traditions we inherited and that we must pass on. We stand for great gear, fair prices, expert service, and memorable experiences. At Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, we stand together for you.
For everything Chevy, you need to visit Victor Chevrolet, the place where my family and I get our vehicles. With a large selection, dedicated employees, quick service, and amazing savings, I became the biggest fan of Victor Chevrolet. If you're looking for a reliable vehicle and service, look no further than my friends at Victor Chevrolet. 7200 Pittsford Victor Road, or victorchevrolet.com. Just check and see if there's room for the Cup.
You have desert type adaptations on some of the birds and wildlife, and then you have the tropical. I mean, you can go from monkeys here to the reptiles, and so there's a really good cross section of you know, just about all the wildlife in South America exists here in the Chaco. You don't have the, you know, from the elephants and all the different types of, you know, deer and antelope species, but the bird life has evolved here comparable anywhere, or as many species of birds. And that's one of the interesting aspects, is just the total variety of birds here, and just watching them, how they have adapted to this habitat. And you know, for a dry area, it does have an amazing amount of bird life. Lots of deer.
Yeah, a lot of deer tracks.
And more of them on that corner. You can see how it's just tore up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
as any hunting trip around a water hole, the worst thing that can happen to you is get cool days, and because they don't have to water then. A Brocket deer at this time of year, I mean, he can get all the vegetation he needs, so you're hoping that it could be just a habit thing that he's in the area and he's going to come to drink, but it isn't like he has to drink. It was going to be cool for the next 2 or 3 days, and we really knew our chances was slim, at least having lots of opportunities for a Brocket deer to come into a water hole. Rocky had some business in town to get some parts for his dozer, and they were working the dozer. He had to pick up an air filter, and he says, you know, at the same time we're in there, why don't we take advantage of some of the pigeons and dove shoots? Oh, I took some feathers off of him. You know, I've seen this written up in magazines, you know, and you figure, you know, you go out like a ringneck hunting, you know, they flush one, and, you know, your bag limit could be, you know, 3 or 4 or whatever that state says you can take. This was unbelievable. I mean, I have never seen that many doves and pigeons in my entire life. You look out there and it looked like the whole field was moving at times, just with pigeons. And it was a peanut field. And this wasn't even the best time of year to hunt it. He'd already been through his real pigeon hunt and his dove hunt, so we were just catching the tail end of it, kind of giving you a taste of it.
You know, the bird life is so extensive and so abundant here, and we have huge flocks of you know, wild dove and pigeon here. And you know, pigeon hunting's legal now, and although Argentina's a little more well known for its bird hunting, it has been. You know, Paraguay's catching up quick, and it's just something else that people enjoy hunting.
I'll tell you what, it's the whole trip has been an adventure, something different every day. You know, and then we don't stop there. You know, we came out, we had a barbecue, and so we really accomplished a lot of things. Rocky got the parts he needed for his dozer. I got the opportunity to be able to taste just a real small portion of dove hunting and pigeon shooting. I guess what? I guess I'm going to have to come back down to another trip, because I need to come back down here and see this in full swing, because it was hard for me to imagine it could be any better than what it was. Clean me up. Yeah. Can't take me anyplace. Getting ready to go to South America, it was about staying comfortable, packing light, and it's funny you should mention that, because that's exactly what you call these products. Pack light. They fit in their own little pocket. Turn them inside out, got the pants, got the jacket. Obviously they're Gore-Tex, so it's going to be about keeping me dry, it's going to keep me comfortable. And anytime you got Gore-Tex on, remember one thing, everything from your skin all the way out needs to breathe. That's how Gore-Tex works. And whether I'm hunting in South America, whether I'm hunting spring bear, or any place there's mosquitoes, bug spray can be real harsh on bowstrings and gun stocks, and especially some of that rain gear out there. That's another good reason to choose Gore-Tex, because this will not bother the Gore-Tex material.
Bob's gear includes a Browning A-Bolt 300 short mag, Winchester 180 grain Nosler ballistic tip bullets, Swarovski optics, Redhead and Duraskin base layers, and Redhead clothing with Gore-Tex and Windstopper.
Bob Folkrod's quest for the shyest and most secretive of all the deer species kicks off.
Transportation for all of Bob Folkrod's hunting adventures is provided by Victor Chevrolet. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com. Few are those that have a more storied hunting career on video than Bob Folkrod. Legendary moments, documented in front of the unblinking camera eye for over 30 years. This week's Flashback Hunt is brought to you by Sims Vibration Laboratory.
The first time that he'd given us an actual real good shot, and so we tucked one in the back of the ear.
Get the other stuff out of the way. Might try right there.
Okay. I mean, it just took him off his feet. He no more than hit the ground, and it was like he's right back on his feet again, which, boy, that to everybody's surprise was that he got back up again. And he started going toward the wood line. That's the last thing we wanted him to do, was get inside that wood, trying to go in there and find a big buffalo like that can be pretty dangerous. We knew he was hurting pretty bad, so we gave him some time. He got into the brush line, and we went in after him. We could hear him in there kind of, breaking brush and where he was, and we slipped in there and gave him one more shot to keep him down. And, we have a Paraguay buffalo. He's just like the Cape, he just don't have the big boss.
He doesn't have the boss, but
he's got the weight though.
He sure got a hard head.
Yeah. Well, that's my third buffalo. I took the African Cape buffalo, which has got a great big boss on the front of his head. And then last year, the Australia buffalo that's, really wide and long. And now we got down here to Paraguay and this buffalo, and he's just like a Cape buffalo. He's muscular, he's got everything except that great big boss on the front of his head. And it takes a lot to put one down and to keep him down. So that's why they call him dangerous game.
So the best method to hunt these deer is to sit around these water holes, either the natural ones that still have water in them now, or the man-made ones, and just be patient and watch, and you'll be surprised at how, if you put in the hours, how many animals you'll see. And of course, just like any kind of type of hunting, I mean, the first deer we see may be a good buck, or it may be the last one, and it typically, the better bucks are, just takes more patience to acquire.
Well, unlike antelope, we're sitting in there around antelope, they put them blinds up early, and you sit in there and you leave the blind when the sun gets in there and exposes your face and things like that, so you're trying to keep it black. Rocky comes out with these basically these lawn chairs that we're going to set up on a tank, and I said, man, aren't they going to see us up here? And he just says, well, do you want to be comfortable? You can sit on the ground or sit in one of these lawn chairs, and I said, I'll take the lawn chair, because we're going to put in a lot of hours, Patience is the key, Rocky says be patient. Well, that's the key to almost any hunting, be patient. You have to sit still. He said they're so focused on what's happening in front of them that they're not going to look up in the air and see you sitting on the tank unless you're up there doing jumping jacks or running around on top of the hill. So you're basically sitting there and watching and glassing, and every once in a while your head will nod, and you take 5 or you take 10, and you're waiting for the Brocket deer to come in. We're sitting there the one evening, and I look down and I hear Rocky getting my attention. He goes, and we looked off to the side there, and there was a doe and a Brocket deer buck coming down through. And that was the biggest horns we've seen. I mean, it was a nice Brocket deer, I'm thinking, yeah, that's the one, He worked us all the way down through the brush, never did give us opportunity. The doe gave us several opportunities. You think any minute she'd come out, but he didn't come out. And then he just stayed in there, and they went to the water hole to get a drink. And they took a path, and we just saw him for an instance way off in the distance. So we missed that opportunity. That was a trophy buck. It may not look like it, but that was a trophy buck. He stayed right in the brush. He came over here and got a drink. Then he cut up through. Next time I saw him, he was out there in that brush. He stayed in the brush. I had one little quick shot, but he was walking. I didn't want to take it. You're probably only going to get one chance. I got lots of days left, so he might swing around. And if not, he don't know we're here. We'll get him tomorrow or the next day. Hopefully. He's chasing that doe too, so you never know. Wherever she goes, he's gonna go. But he's a nice buck. But we know for sure there's one good Brocket deer, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll be back in that same spot. Patience is the key. And we're set back up there the next day on that same spot, in our lawn chairs, being comfortable, And the thing about it is, you never know what's going to come into the water hole. Absolutely have no clue. From the bird life to seeing cats, seeing brocket deer, seeing tapirs come in. Jaguarundi came in, and and he made a quick pass by, and I think the next day he came in, but we got a little more footage of him. He was really stalking the birds. And we looked up the one time, and there's a giant anteater. I mean, he was going by. I mean, holy jeez, I couldn't believe the size of these things. When he came in, he didn't water long, but he did get some water, and then he turned around and went back up over. So they're just, there again, you never know what's going to come into the water hole. I mean, it's just Mother Nature's TV set right there in front of you. And we've seen several brocket deer come in, but not the one we're looking for. And everyone came in the same. Just like, I mean, they thought something was going to be eating them at any time. And that's what makes it abundance of wildlife down here. And that's why he's got so many cats between the pumas and the jaguars, because there are abundance of brocket deer down here. And so, is it an opportunity to hunt this brocket deer? I was some excited, even though I know it's just going to be a tiny thing. I mean, the same thing, same reasons I go north to catch up a species of a whitetail, and the same reason I come to Texas for whitetail or hunt in Pennsylvania. It's the adventure. It's going to different areas, different states, different countries to hunt different animal, and each one's an adventure all by itself.
Bob's hunt for the elusive brocket deer comes down to the wire when we return to the wild backcountry of Paraguay's Gran Chaco region.
This segment has been brought to you by the Victor Chevrolet Deal of the Week. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com. Chevrolet.com. Find new roads.
Looking for a new or used vehicle? Check out my friends at Victor Chevrolet. You'll be totally satisfied. That's where I get all my vehicles.
Together is about a little kitchen table and a little elbow grease. Together is about a shelf in the back of Dad's shop. Together is about family. And it's about all the memories that lie ahead. Start your adventure with the experience, selection, and wonder you can only find at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
The brocket deer, it's a native animal, native throughout all of South America, through Central America into southern part of Mexico. And this is, what we're going to be hunting is a gray brocket deer. It's the smallest of the deer species in the Americas. Your males will weigh from 35 to 65 pounds. Females about the same size. Just spiked horns, kind of like a diker. And you're looking at an exceptional brocket deer, maybe 5 inches long. So, it's not necessarily the trophy that you're after here. It's hunting a native species in its native environment.
Trying to find these brocket deer inside this dry jungle, and this is their winter time down here, and the warmer it gets, the more activity that's going to be around the water hole. No different than any place, and no matter what type of game you hunt. Our best chances to take one of these brocket deer is sitting on top of one of these tanks. They call them tanks. It's basically a water hole. And the tanks that Rocky's put in, it gives us an elevation where you can actually look down on top of the water holes. It's strange to watch these their brocket deer come in. You have to remember these things, they're a small animal, 50, 60 pounds, and when they're coming in on eggshells. Every animal that walks into that water hole knows that he could be eaten by a jaguar or by a cat of some sort, whether it's a puma, and their reactions walking in, they don't look off in a long distance. Their eyesight and their hearing's at a short distance, something that can come out charging at them at any second. And if you watch them, I mean, we've got them coming in, and boy, they're just like on eggshells. They're just, boy, they're just birds flying. They jump. Well, again, I was sitting there, and I think I was even dozed off at the particular time, and I heard Rocky trying to get my attention. We looked up. Comes a single Brocket deer by himself, and as soon as I put the glasses onto him, I don't know if that was the same one we seen the night before, but it was a real darn nice one. And he's coming through, and same stuff. He's staying in the brush and staying in the brush. Except I got up and moved this time, because the night before he'd went through a little hole, and it was really on an angle, so I didn't really get a good opportunity there. So I moved back down, and where if he went through the hole, I had a whole broadside shot. And we sat there for 3, 4, 5 minutes. Finally, he showed up, and he come into that little hole there, and he stopped this time, which gave me the opportunity to squeeze one off. And as soon as the shot went off, I seen him jump just like a heart shot. Boy, his back end went up, and boy, I sat there and I turned over, and Rocky got this great big smile on his face, you know. And he said, let's just give him a minute or two. And looked like a good hit. Cautious deal, eh? Man, I'm telling you. If I was being stalked by jaguars and pumas and all kinds of 5 other cats, I'd be a little cautious too. I don't know if that's the same one or not, but he's got good horns.
No, that's a good one.
Come right through that same hole. Missed him the other night there. He just came through so fast, following that doe and everything. Got up and came over and gave me a good hole there. He stopped this time, right broadside there.
I think that's the same buck. Let's go see.
When we went down in there, he was just off to the side. And it's something, I mean, you know, here's an animal this big with horns that tall, and I couldn't have been more excited than what it was if it was a 170. Look at that. They're a pretty rare animal, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to think about getting excited when you see Pennsylvania or deer back home. You know, 140s, 150s on up. I'll tell you what, that's equivalent right there to a 140, 50, 180 class deer.
That's your smallest deer species.
That's, yep, smallest deer species, and very rare. Not too many people get an opportunity to hunt them. We've seen lots of them, you know, the anticipation whether the right one was coming in. And we shook hands and congratulated each other, and it was another adventure down here in Paraguay, South America. I had no idea what a Brocket deer was until I looked in the Safari Club magazine and seen it on their list. And how about all those doves? That was some excitement, wasn't it? But what's even more important is all the conservation Rocky's doing on those jaguars. My hat's off to you, my friend. And everyone that's got a hunting license and believes in conservation, you need to thank Rocky too.
For help with all of your hunt booking needs, contact J&M Safaris at jnmsafaris.com. After your successful hunt of a lifetime, contact Wes Good at canadistudio.com for the finest taxidermy in the business. Be sure to follow Bob and all his adventures at bobfolkrod.com/TV and facebook.com/bfolkrod. And don't forget to hit the like button.